Welcome to Banking on Experience, the one-stop shop for all your financial services tips and tricks, the future of business and the future of the customer. Here is your host from CRM Next.
Welcome to another episode of Banking on Experience. I'm Marla Fields, and we have with us today Tansley Stearns, Chief People and Strategy Officer for Canvas Credit Union. Since joining Canvas in April of 2018, Tansley has been amplifying the credit union's ability to transform lives with their innovative marketing, brand communications, and strategy efforts. Tansley brings with her more than 20 years of credit union leadership experience, including roles in research, sales, service, and government relations. Thank you so much, Tansley, for joining us today. We're thrilled to have you.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. Thanks so much for thinking of me.
Well, of course. So, can you introduce yourself and just tell us a little bit about your responsibilities as the Chief People and Strategy Officer at Canvas Credit Union? What does that role really entail?
Sure, my pleasure. So my responsibilities at Canvas are really around three areas. So organizational strategy, people, which some other organizations might call HR, and then marketing as well as the brand of the organization.
I see. So you've held many roles throughout the years, including the Chief Impact Officer at Filene Research Institute, the AVP of Corporate Strategy at Government Relations at Bethpage Federal Credit Union in New York, and the VP of Sales and Service at both Connex Credit Union and Best Source Credit Union, where you led the marketing, sales, and business development initiatives. Wow, that's a lot of varied experience. Can you tell us in a nutshell how that experience is helping you in your current role?
So the gift of that time has been working with amazing leaders. You know, I have had such a wonderful opportunity to see the people in front of me in each of those organizations be not just talented, but vulnerable with me and really open with me about what they think works and what may be things that I should avoid. And really, I think probably most importantly, the opportunity to be able to explore across all of those organizations. You know, in particular, I always love to give a lot of credit to that first credit union, Best Source Credit Union. You know, I started there as a marketing specialist and really did not think that I was going to spend my life committed to credit unions. You know, I thought it would be my first job out of college and then there would be some other adventure. And I just fell in love not only with what they did, but the opportunity. John Normando was the CEO when I was there, and he really allowed me to explore lots of different things across the organization and lead things that I had not led before. And so the opportunity to dive deep there was fantastic. And that has been kind of the story of my career is this, you know, what I call the shwoop, you know, to sort of be able to go in and maybe pick things up that others didn't want or where there was a gap for a period of time. And I love that about credit unions, that they're really willing to allow people to explore and try new things. And I guess the last thing that I would say is just across all of those organizations, and I think the gift of our industry is really collaboration. And so even when I was maybe working in one organization, you know, especially at Bethpage, you know, they have such a great model for collaboration with other organizations and seeing that come to life, not just be words that we talk about, but the reality of what we can really do to create more value has just been really, really helpful in terms of what that allows me, I hope, to bring here to Canvas.
So you have a tagline on your website there at Canvas Credit Union that I find rather intriguing.
Thanks.
Which is BS free the way it should be.
That's right.
So what does that mean and how does it really play out at Canvas Credit Union?
Sure. So we rebranded Canvas from Public Service Credit Union almost 2 years ago now. And one of the pillars of our brand is really that we stand shoulder to shoulder with our members. We want it to be really easy to do business with us. And that comes down to language. You know, as we did our brand transformation, a big part of what we heard from consumers, not just our members, but potential members and even our internal family members was, you know, sometimes banking can be confusing, you know, and I always tell the story. I remember vividly my first year working at Best Source. I felt like I was listening to people talk another language. They were using acronyms and words I'd never heard. And then, of course, I so vividly remember I was sitting in a meeting about a year later, and all of a sudden it was clicking and I knew what they were talking about. And then, of course, what did I do? I started using those acronyms because I wanted to be a smart kid. And that's real for our members, and these are smart people. They are talented people, but they don't live in financial services all the time. And folks aren't always going to ask. And so our ability to take out what we call bank slang or BS is really important to help simplify the experience. And we invite our members to even point it out when we may use it so that we can help make things simpler and easier.
I love that.
Thank you.
Bank slang.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So what are the top 3 priorities that you keep in mind as the Chief People and Strategy Officer?
Sure. So first of all, I'm in service to our members, our Canvas family, and others. So, my role is to serve those 3 groups of constituents. And so everything I do day in and day out is about thinking about our members, our Canvas family, and others. Secondly, really listening and putting people first. Our brand as well as our values as an organization are all about keeping our ears open and setting listening posts to hear from our family members internally, from our members externally, from our community. We really believe that we're better when we understand what people's needs are and that we can respond to those needs. So listening. And then finally, telling our story. I know that it has become a bit cliche within credit unions, but I still believe that we are a best kept secret. We have not always valued telling our story. And so thinking about all the different ways that we can create content, drive value, and ultimately engage people through storytelling is a huge part of what I am focused on for the organization.
So what do you believe are some of the greatest challenges that credit unions and other financial institutions are facing today? And do you have solutions in mind for our listeners moving forward?
I think, uniquely in this moment, one of those biggest challenges, and I don't think that this is unique to credit unions or even financial services, but I think for organizations moving forward with what we've faced as human beings, safety and health is going to be paramount. And so, when you think about, for each of us, as we make the decisions about who we may work with, it's one of the first things we're going to be considering is, am I safe and healthy if I work with them, and how are they making that so? So I think for credit unions, one of the things that we really have to consider is, how do we connect our brands with safety and health, and how are we going to make that really visible for folks so that they know, boy, I can trust myself to be able to go and work with them in whatever way works best for me. So I think that is a real challenge and something that, we are all going to have to address. And even though I think many of us are doing those things, again, it's not just about ensuring safety and health, but it's about communicating safety and health.
Yeah.
I also think one of the bigger challenges is really about the omni-channel experience and how do we transform financial services so that we are meeting people where they are. The world is changing so quickly. And I use my mom as an example. I was speaking to her on the phone the other day, and she was saying that she went to her credit union and, she had a check that she wanted to deposit. And so she was going to go through the drive-through, and then she got there and she thought, oh, I'm going to have to touch these buttons and this tube and this pen. And she ended up driving home. And, she's in her early 70s, so she's not ever done remote deposit capture. And, so we had this conversation about how I said, at a time when both of us are rested, let's get together and I will walk you through that process. And it just struck a chord with me that regardless of age, regardless of whether you're a digital native, this time has accelerated even further the expectations for consumers around how they can engage with us. And so how do we deliver that digital experience in a way that everyone is going to want to be a part of? And then I guess the last thing that I would say is really this notion of the war for talent. Obviously in this moment in time, There are a lot of people that have been negatively impacted by the coronavirus that may have lost their jobs. In the long term, as an industry, we still have this challenge, I think, to attract the right talent to credit unions, to retain that talent, to have them see a bright future within our space. One of my goals is that by the time that I retire, people are graduating from university begging to work in credit unions. And I think we have a path to walk down until we get to that place. So, I could go on for days, but those would be the three that I think are probably most important right now.
Yeah, makes sense. So is your mom now fully capable of depositing checks remotely?
Not yet, but I hope by this weekend the answer will be yes.
So you've been described as being a dynamic force of nature, fiercely crusading on behalf of all credit unions. Can you explain what that means for you, and where does that drive come from?
Well, I'm blushing. I think I would say the drive comes from a place that I believe that people's financial situation and the way that can be founded in a place that is really solid has a positive impact on the rest of their lives. Sometimes people ask, why would you care so much about credit unions and the industry? And the reason is, if we can help people to make that footing solid, then everything else in their lives becomes easier. And what could be better than that? And my opinion is that credit unions are the place that can walk with people through times like this. You think about our history. We were founded during the Great Depression. And so we have grown through times when people really needed someone to walk with them and help them through significant financial challenges. I think credit unions are best equipped to do that. And so we have to make sure people know about us, that we make it easy to use us, because again, the great news is, as a cooperative, the more that people use us, the better we can do for them. And so again, my goal is that we are growing and thriving, and that we are also attracting and retaining talent, because again, I think, when you look at what young adults really want in a profession, it is about how they can make a difference in the world, and what better place than credit union. So there is no better place, I think, to be focused in terms of an industry that can truly make a difference for human beings.
Yeah, I think it does, as an industry, draw people who like to be able to help others, and help them with their financial well-being. So we're at that point where we ask the same question of all our guests, and I'm curious, Tansley, if you could share with us a company that has made you feel more like family than a customer.
Sure. For me, it's Peloton. I know people are talking a lot about Peloton these days, but I've been a runner most of my life since I was 11, and really reticent to do anything else. But I had heard really good things about Peloton, and know that as I am becoming more mature, it's important for me to be able to cross train. And so I made a purchase of a Peloton, and truly right from the beginning, they get so much of all the things that I was just talking about right. So they made the process of purchase very easy. It came quickly. When they brought it to my home, they installed it. And probably many of your listeners have heard the story of how they came to that, but they realized that they had to make the process of getting the bike up and running easy and simple in order to make sure that people were using it quickly, and really invested in that, and ensuring that it arrived in a timely manner. And then the integration of new users, they do such a good job of having instructors that are fun and engaging. And, then they gamify the process and invite you to participate in that, and have you now, even just recently, they've created the ability for you to follow one another more easily. And so I just think it truly does feel like community. In fact, my husband often teases me when we were able, before this time, to go away and we'd come back, he'd be like, "Oh, you're going down to visit your friends," and that's kind of how I talk about them. So I think it's they get so much right about the things that consumers really desire today: ease of use, true engagement, building of community, and imagine they've been able to do that digitally. So I can't say enough about really what they've built.
Yeah, so shout out to Peloton.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Tansley, really appreciate you sharing all of your insights with us today. Tansley Stearns, Chief People and Strategy Officer for Canvas Credit Union. And I'm Marla Fields, your host today for Banking on Experience. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Banking on Experience. Remember to tune in each week and subscribe, where we aim to simplify work, drive growth, and deliver on experience.